Mills fashioned to kick back towards the wing for Lady! Left now, lines them up. It's coming back. Hawks is the biggest man there.
G'day guys, welcome to Red Time ahead of round 22. I'm Jared Barker, and joining me as always to discuss all the latest in the world of footy is Freo big man Mason Coxy. Round 22, the business end of the season. This is where the real boys come out to play. Although, actually, you guys don't need to come out to play because you've already locked in top 2 with 3 weeks to go. But you must be sitting there laughing, looking down at the ladder, looking at all those piss ants around 10th, 11th, fighting for that spot in the wild card.
Is that specific? Are you being specific to a certain team?
Not specific. No.
Okay,
I'm generalising, but geez, life must be good at the top, isn't it?
It's not too bad. It's. I don't know. You gotta every once in a while stop and smell the roses. It's still very much business for us as usual. And I don't know. I think once you get to the end of the year and you have like that week off, you'll probably kind of look back on the year that was probably a bit more. But with how footy goes, it's just like everything is so quickly. Just like finish a game, start prepping for the next game, like reviewing all that kind of stuff. You just kind of you get lost in the the day to day, so you don't really have too much time to kind of really sit there and reflect. But it's a great spot to be in.
Yep, no doubt. Well, let's stay with you guys. So top 2 locked in, despite there still being 3 weeks. So there's general interest with how the Dockers actually approach these 3 weeks, because the reality is you can get smashed by a couple 100 points in all of them, and you'll still have a home qualifying final. So the psychological side of it, where how do you view these weeks where from the outside looking in, you don't have everything to play for, but the teams you play against have a lot to play for? So how are you guys approaching this next 3-week stretch internally?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really the same kind of protocol. For the way I kind of look at it, though, is like there's still a lot of ways to improve. We'll kind of face, obviously different teams coming up in the next few weeks and then beyond that. But like even looking back to last weekend with the Bulldogs, like the Bulldogs played a very different brand of football than most teams have. So I think it's just kind of getting those experiences of whatever might be thrown at us, making sure that we nail those and that we prepare for, whatever might be a challenge whenever it comes to the back into the year. So still a lot for us to get better at. We're continuing to do that and have that approach. And we keep talking about being 1-0 is the thing that we keep saying. So I'll stay on that PR line. But I think for us, it's like just trying to find all those things that, we can kind of improve on over the next few weeks or 2 or 3 weeks, and, not look too far ahead and enjoy every single week that comes up. Because we've got some challenging weeks coming up. Some teams are probably going to make finals over the next 3 weeks. And it's going to be a good challenge towards the end of the year.
And it starts with the Ds. How important is it to win at the MCG? Because I know, and you said it there, the PR line of 1 week at a time. You're trying to go 1-0 this week. So I know you're blinkered to that mantra at the moment, and that's all well and good. But the reality is you do have to get it done at the home of footy, which you guys aren't going to speak about, and that's admirable that you're staying focused. But this is actually your last chance at the MCG. You don't get many chances at the MCG. So how important is it to win at this ground, knowing that if you don't win, naturally the headlines are going to be Freo can't get it done on the big stage. They can't win at the G. Maybe their shot at the flag is completely gone because they just can't get it done when it matters on the big stage. They're going to be the headlines should you lose this game. So how important is it, and is it spoken about that internally amongst the players, about how important it is to win on this ground this weekend?
No, I think it's more just how we face up against Melbourne. It's not about the ground or the occasion or anything like that. It's more about the opposition that we play in that sense as far as how we've prepared. But yeah, I know there's a lot of rhetoric around it. I've played a lot of games at the MCG, so I'm probably not as stressed as the media probably makes it seem to be. But it's interesting, like to have 10 teams essentially in the Melbourne area and only play there, 2 or 3 times a year is a weird dynamic. I don't know if that'll change next year. Given the fact of how we've gone this year, who knows? But yeah, it's I don't know. It's exciting for me to play back there. I played most of my career there, and it's always enjoyable to go back to what a lot of people consider the mecca of footy. And it's a great stadium, great experience, and I think for us, we're not too worried about that kind of side of it. I know the media will try to find kinks in the armor in a sense and try to run with it as much as they can. So they'll put a bit of pressure on this game, but for us, it's more about the opposition than the field we're playing on. that doesn't really matter as much as who we're playing against.
The battle within the battle, though, how do you stop Max Gawn? He's in some fine form.
He's a very good player, isn't he?
He's all right.
Yeah.
8 All-Australian Blazers.
He's doing all right for himself. Yeah. He's a good player. Luke will probably get more action against him than I will. But, yeah, I mean, they used to be teammates, so they know each other pretty well. So it'd be an interesting little kind of, a bit of a shootout between the two of them, of knowing kind of what their strengths are and their weaknesses, and being able to exploit those. It'll be interesting to kind of see them go against each other. And they very much bring different things as far as ruckman, and I think each one of them has those things that they have as strengths, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how they match up against each other. But he's a great man. Give him his flowers. He's had an incredible career so far and is still going, captain of the club, all that kind of stuff, and won a premiership himself. So it'll be a great battle, and who knows, it might be for the All-Australian Blazer.
Potentially it could be, for sure. We've got a rolling Australian team on our website, and we've got both of them in the team at the moment. They are very hard to split, but you're right. Looking forward to those contests. Hey,
who's the starting ruck?
It was Luke Jackson for a long time. Literally this morning we put Gawn in with Jackson on the bench, but he can reclaim it in that battle this week. So looking forward to those contests and that game on Saturday. Let's get into start, bench, or drop, because there's a lot of news going around. We'll play the role of selector for the following statements. Coxy, the AFL's memo to clubs warning against resting fit players in round 24. Start, bench, or drop?
Drop this 101. You think you're going to listen to the AFL and say, I'm going to make a decision on whether or not to play a player because the league told me to? Get stuffed. There's no way that's happening. You're going to do what's best for your club and for your team going into the end of the year, no matter what position you are on the ladder. So the AFL sending out a memo is just going to be something that's going to be sent straight to the bin, I think, on the email list. But that is just an absurd thing to think that the clubs are going to listen to you as an AFL spokesperson to say, we're going to tell you what to do at your club. There's no freaking way. No way you're going to actually put any kind of thought into that. And they're going to do what's best for them. If they need to rest players, like, what is the AFL going to walk into the doctor's office and listen to the whole appointment? No. Get out of here. They'll do whatever is best for them.
Well said, and I'm dropping this as well. The coaches have actually already spoken out against this. Luke Beveridge, Stephen King, Alistair Clarkson publicly. There's 2 reasons a club would do this, and that's tanking for draft picks, which won't happen, hasn't happened in a long time. Hello to you, Melbourne, last team to be fined for it. And then teams who don't have a week off because they didn't finish in the top 6, but whose ladder position can't move regardless of the round 24 result. Most likely to be the Western Bulldogs and Collingwood, trying to look ahead here. But we haven't had this problem since 2016 when the pre-finals bye was introduced. Famously in 2013, Ross Lyon rested 10 or 11 players in the final round. They got absolutely spanked, but then they won the qualifying final the next week. In 2015, Brad Scott did the same. He rested 9 players at North because their ladder position was locked in as well. They also won the next week after resting players in the final round. So the AFL didn't like the look of that, but I'm all for it. Like, what's more important, winning a dead rubber in round 24 or striving for a premiership? And if you don't have a problem with a coach or a team resting a player in round 13, why do you have a problem in round 24? So I'm with you. I don't think they should have a say, and I implore Luke Beveridge and Craig McRae, if it comes to that, to rest whoever the hell they want.
Pretty ironic this whole situation exists because they expanded the finals campaign to be 10 teams, and they wanted extra money for the essentially week off. So can't have your cake and eat it too, AFL. People are going to do whatever they want's best for them.
Well said.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. So we've got players meeting with clubs and touring their facilities in season. Obviously, a lot of context around this is Lachie Neale, who's he's not being shy about being on the market. Let's say that. He tours the Pies HQ the day before Brisbane played Carlton and got absolutely smashed at Marvel. Start, bench, or drop. What do you got for me?
I'm starting this players meeting with clubs and touring their facilities in season. No problem with it. I think the sensitivity from some people in the media is well over the top. Obviously, it would happen more than people realise. It's just whether it gets leaked or not by the people who saw him in the club. But I think you need to do your due diligence when you're in that position as a player. I can't speak for the player, but it's a huge career decision. So why wouldn't you meet with the opposition coaches and, speak and meet with your future employees or employers? So, I don't see an issue with it. The only way I'd have the discussion about is it a problem, is it not, is whether the timing was appropriate the day before a game. but that would only be an issue if it rubs your teammates the wrong way and if it affected your performance. So, yeah, I'll throw that to you then. As a teammate, would you be concerned? Would it be an issue if you knew and found out that a teammate of yours was touring a club facility the day before a game?
I can almost guarantee you it's probably happened at some point. 11 years or 12 years of playing the game, I guarantee you there's someone that's probably toured a facility whenever you conveniently are in town of that team. And yeah, it's happened at the Pies multiple times before there in my career. So not surprised by it by any means. The context of before a game, that's the only thing that's a bit questionable. But realistically, like all these conversations and meetings and all this kind of stuff are probably going to be happening anyway. So he might have, maybe he didn't tour the facility, but he went and got a coffee with the GM or something. It's like, is that going to be just as bad as going to tour the facility? I think it's just the optics of being in a rival team's facility that everyone like freaks out about. And it's for the people who are freaking out about it, I think it's just a lack of the recognition that it is a business at the end of the day. And the people that are complaining about this, whoever it may be, are, stuck in the past and want something to chat about, I guess. But realistically, I look at this from both sides, right? You look at Brisbane's side, and if he's maybe let's say hypothetically, take away Lachie Neale, I don't know any information on what's going on, but hypothetically, let's say Lachie says, I don't want to be here at the end of the year, right? Well, the club's probably going, all right, if you're not going to be here, then we want the answer to that as soon as possible, so that we can start preparing for our future without you. And to be able to prepare for the future without you, you need that player to make a decision. And for that player to make the decision, he probably wants to know the most about the teams he's going to look at trying to go to. So if he's leaving and he's, thinking about that, and he has to go tour these facilities and wants to go meet all these people from the different clubs that are interested in him, for him to then make the decision whether or not he wants to stay at Brisbane, the sooner he lets the club know, the better the club is to be able to prepare for the future and try to go out and target certain players and bring someone in who might be able to replace him and all that kind of stuff. So the people who are upset about this, ironically, it's probably what's best for the club if he's really wanting to see if it's, if he's wanting to go there. And it lets you know earlier, lets you prepare for the future, lets you figure out who else you might target on the market to bring in to be able to fill that role. I don't know. I think it's actually what's best for the club in an ironic way.
Yeah, it should be normalized more.
I love the NRL has normalized it too.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we're ready for that.
Because it's possible in this country. Yeah,
it's
possible in this country. But I think people are too attached to the idea that people have to be one club players, which is just absurd nowadays.
Yeah.
And fans are just so attached to that idea, but are starting to realize that that's just not going to be the normalcy in 5 to 10 years' time.
How important is it to actually tour the facilities, though? Because you can always meet up for coffee, et cetera, which is probably done as well. But it's surely like everyone's gym is state of the art and up to scratch and modernized. Like, how important is it to actually see the facilities?
I mean, Collingwood's going to be a good facility in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's the facility. I think it's more like meeting with the people you're going to deal with. So you talk about high performance manager, head coach, assistant coaches, people you'll be seeing day to day and kind of how they run their program. Someone at that age of what Lachie's at, he would know kind of what works for him. He would know, the best situation, whether it's more Pilates, more strength work, whatever it may be. And I think for him, it's just making sure that his, structure works with the club structure as far as how he's going to be managed at the club, and making sure they have those things. I feel like they can bring in reformers if he's into that. He can bring in different machines or figure out different ways to be able to accomplish the same goal that he has. So I don't think the facility is a massive ordeal. It's nice, it's convenient, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's the massive selling point that's going to come with whether or not he signs a contract.
I agree with you there. Representative football is underused. Start, bench, or drop?
I'm going to start this one. Love a bit of representative football. WI versus Victoria, big, I guess I would say success this year in the preseason. Obviously, recently they had Australia versus Ireland, which was really cool over in Sydney. And apparently there was a big Irish crowd. I was talking to one of the
it looks good,
one of the women that played in it, and they were saying it was like 60 or 70% Irish. So you can imagine a big Irish party would be pretty fun to go to. I'm sure they were not missing out on too many alcoholic beverages over there. But yeah, I love this idea. I think it's it's a great opportunity to be able to show the vast majority of players that have a different background and they're from different places. And I'll look at Ireland. Obviously, these players that have come over and played, there's a lot of them that are male and there's a lot that are female. And it's great to be able to show just how good the product is that's coming from there. And going up against Australia, obviously Australia got a decent win against them, but there's moments in there you look at it and you go, wow, you got to give credit where credit's due, and Ireland was able to hang in there for a decent amount, and it's a good fun. I don't know. I think it's just like a great kind of PR, great experience, great to show different cultures, and just kind of what makes up this country is as amazing as it is.
I would much prefer the AFL invests more in the international rules series in the men's game with Australia versus Ireland, which they haven't had since 2017. I think COVID put a halt to that. I'd much prefer that than State of Origin. Much prefer it. And I know the AFL's been in talks with the Gaelic Athletic Association about bringing that back, so I'm pretty sure it will come back in the not too distant future. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the old international rules series because it's more unique to us and our game. Like, let the NRL have their State of Origin. Yes, it worked this year. I'm sure it's going to work when SA plays WA next year as well. But I'd much prefer the AFL puts more of its eggs into the international rules basket because I think it's a lot more unique. It's fun. Ireland coming here, us going there, whatever it is, I think it's a more unique game that would generate a lot more interest than State of Origin, in my eyes. But that's just me. It's all subjective. But yeah, I hope the AFL does bring that back with the GAA.
Yeah, me too. I think there needs to be a bit more hate between the two countries, though. I feel like it's kind of like
too many handshakes.
I want some like rivalry here. I want to be like, nah, stuff Ireland. They got nothing on us. Or like, we're the best league in the world.
No, it's competitive though. They're very competitive with their Gaelic football.
Oh yeah, if I want some hatred between the two sides, I feel like it always comes around. They're like, "Oh, this is a great PR thing." I was like, "Nah, I want some investment into this. I want some emotion into this." Yeah, I personally, I love they did the Indigenous All Stars recently. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see. I think there's there's been obviously a bit of media in a sense of the Indigenous representation in the AFL and how much it's gone down over the last few years. So I think doing things that are, being able to show how amazing some of these players are in the backgrounds and the places they come from and their mob and everything else is great for the game. I think it's great for, the players involved, and I think the community as a broader whole. So I'd love to see like an Indigenous versus international game where you have the Indigenous All-Stars, obviously, and then you have another team made up of either people born overseas or people that have at least one parent that's born overseas, because I think it's like 50% of Australia has at least one parent born overseas. So there'd be a decent amount to pick from if you take that. Or if you took just being born overseas yourself, I think you'd be able to put a decent squad together. And there'd be some amazing stories that come out of it. Like I look at the Socceroos and like you look at some of the refugees from the World Cup, and like that was incredible. Some of those stories of what their families went through to get them to that opportunity to then play for and represent Australia at the world stage was amazing. So I think there's so many of those stories we haven't heard, and it'd be a great opportunity to be able to kind of bring those to the forefront.
So Big Mason Cox tapping it down to who? Andrew McGrath, born in Canada.
I think I might be a coach at that point by the time this gets across. I might be a water boy.
I think your idea of expanding the criteria into players whose parents or had at least one parent born overseas definitely widens the pool, because we had to look at some players who are currently playing who are born overseas. Plenty of backline depth. So you definitely got to focus on restricting the scores. But I think you guys are struggling if the ball hits the deck in the forward 50.
We need to recruit some players, some smaller, just shifty type players that can just sell candy a few times. Because on the other side, if you do an Indigenous All Stars, it's going to be so much candy sold. You'll need to open a candy shop, to be honest. So I think we'll need someone to at least try to, bridge the gap a bit in that sense.
Yeah.
I think it'd be just a great thing to be able to see. There's some amazing stories that would come out of it, and I think it'd just be fun for everyone, because it's both those, I think those categories of people, whether it's the Indigenous or the international, I think obviously everyone's got a unique story, but I think everyone's there to have fun and enjoy it. And like, it's just, I don't know, I feel like it would be such a positive outlook and experience for the AFL to be able to promote.
You got the next one here.
Yeah, pregame warmups are overrated. Collingwood and Geelong had a little bit of media scrutiny, you could say, as to how they went into the game as far as the warm-up. So they ran out without the theme songs, which I'm sure the traditionalists would have absolutely loved.
Oh, yeah.
And essentially 2 to 3 minutes before the first ball up, they were there going. So it was very quickly turned into the game time. Probably not the normal warm-up that you would have as far as leading into a game. And yeah, what's your thoughts on that? Start, bench, or drop?
Pre-game warm-ups are overrated. I would say no, bench. So they're not overrated, obviously. I'm not a player, so I don't know. But I would question how important the pre-game, like the real pre-game warm-up, where you run out with the team, there's 10 minutes to go or whatever it is, you do that warm-up. I question how important that one is, or how much more important it is than the warm-up that you do like an hour, 45 minutes before the game. Because you go out, you do your warm-up, you go back into the change rooms, you get ready, you come back out, run through the banner, and then you do another warm-up. So in this case, all they did was skip the second warm-up and just ran out and basically got straight into it. But can you realistically run out 2 or 3 minutes before a game and just start playing straight away? Would you struggle with that? Do you think, is it just a habit that you do warm up, or could you genuinely run out there and just get straight into the game?
I think you could if you were like, you would change your high performance staff would change how you would go into the game, right? So you would just essentially have a longer warm up beforehand and a more intense warm up beforehand, knowing that you start in 2 or 3 minutes. I don't think 2 or 3 minutes that you're going to have your body cool down. And I don't know the physical stuff. I don't know the details behind the scenes, but I don't think within 2 or 3 minutes your body's going to cool down enough to then cause an issue. I think realistically, you're probably pretty ready to go once you get out there. The extra warm up on the field is like we do kind of back and forth, and we do a few kind of like kick-ins and stuff like that, and then handballs and stuff like that. So I think all that can be done pre-game, like before. And if they're wanting to kind of go down that side of maybe a bit more hype in a sense of like there's more audience there right before the game, so they can start doing the song and have like the real kind of build up in that sense. Like I think that's fine. I'm okay with that. I just think that you need to understand that you need to give more time beforehand for the players to actually warm up and go through what their due process is. Because realistically, just going for a training session, you're doing 15 at least minutes probably to warm up for a training session, even if it's not a large one. So that's the normality of what our bodies are used to. So you need at least like 15 to 30 minutes probably just to make sure you get up to that side.
Yep. Hawthorn entertaining moving games to Wellington. So according to reports on 7, the Hawks are exploring new options for games outside of Victoria for when their deal with Tasmania expires at the end of 2027, with options such as New Zealand, Canberra and Cairns in the mix. Start, bench or drop. Hawthorn moving games potentially to Wellington.
Has Hawthorn been to Wellington? I think Wellington's one of the most windy places you've ever been. You might as well just go down to Williamstown and play, mate. Might be a little bit easier. Taz is pretty windy, but Wellington, I'm telling you, man, there is a gust that comes through there. Going to be very cold also, very cold. I don't mind it. I like the international side of things. I think like obviously netball, I want to say NBL. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if netball has a team over in New Zealand, but I know NBL does. That seems to be somewhat of a success over there in Auckland. But yeah, the Canberra is already taken up. Cairns is probably your only other realistic option. That's still domestic. That's going to get enough of a crowd. I'd love to see more games played in the Northern Territory or wherever the next team's going to be. Obviously, with 19 teams coming in, the 19th team coming in, there's going to be a 20th at some point. So I think there's got to be opportunity for wherever that team's going to be located to then essentially start getting games played in that area to build an AFL base or fan base. So if it's a Northern Territory team, up in Darwin, start playing games up in Darwin. If it's up in Cairns, start playing games up in Cairns and be able to kind of build what they've kind of done in Tassie for the last 5 to 10 years, in a sense, in another location. And I think that's probably the best avenue as far as that for the AFL. And then if there's enough government funding for a team to come up there, then I think the Hawks will definitely entertain it.
Well, they were able to build such a fortress down in Launceston that, like, I get they'd want to establish that and maintain a home ground advantage that they have over every other team in the comp. So going international, though, that's also tough on you, not just your opponents. So I think, yeah, you said it there, the domestic option there, Canberra or Cairns, would make more sense. In terms of an advantage, like the Saints played 3 games in Wellington between 2013 and 2015. They didn't win any of them. They weren't a great team at that at that stage, but they did not come away victorious in any of those games. I don't know. If I was a member of the Hawks, I'd be pretty annoyed. Like, just get your home games at the MCG.
Yeah.
We've seen the AFL try and launch a strategic plan for India as well. They're aiming to grow grassroots participation over there. I think they got 20,000 local players at that level, so they want to expand that to 100,000 over the next few years, given the sport is already played over there in some communities. And they have the cricket ovals as well. So
Yeah.
India's probably.
I mean, like they tried to play in China. I remember like
Well, they
Port
did,
Adelaide
yeah.
was playing up in China for like 3 or 4 years. Like, that was kind of
not worth
random and weird. I
Where
remember
would
they
you
had
go?
the advertisements.
Where would
It was
you go
an
if you had
NFL
to
ball
pick-
outside the stadium.
If you had to pick somewhere,
Oh, what do you think? I would love to have a team in LA, obviously. And they do have cricket pitches over there. I think you do a preseason game over there would be interesting. I don't think it's going to be for points because it's such a far distance, but I think to build the game internationally for a country that's already, sports obsessed, similar to Australia, I think, the US is probably the best market to go to. Obviously, I'm a bit biased,
Just
but
a bit.
yeah, I think internationally, as far as participation, I think that the US has the most participants of any country in the world. So it kind of makes sense to go there. There's a cricket league there now, so there are actual fields because that was one of the biggest issues and things that was blocking it. There actually are cricket pitches there now, so you can actually have a field that will fit the size and everything else. It's all there, ready to go. You just have to be able to put the effort and time into it to be able to try to build a fan base over there, and who knows what will come of it. But yeah, I mean, the other option internationally, I mean, I'm amazed that this hasn't come out, but the Bali Geckos, I'm sure they're fighting chomping at the bits to get this thing played over in Bali. Because let's be honest, it's the most international place in the world right now with everyone living there.
Yes. What's the capacity of wherever they play? Do you know the name of the ground?
I don't know. We got a game in Uluwatu this week. Just had a big surf this morning. Had my chakras aligned and I sat next to a salt lamp all night. So it was a fantastic prep for the game.
Yeah, I think there's more chance of me
anything
winning
is
the Brownlow
possible.
medal than the AFL going to play footy in Bali. Let's get into the hot stat checklist powered by StatMate. Download the app for free now. First game here is Brisbane versus Hawthorn. Off halfback, Jarman Impey has been in scintillating form, in AA form. He's come into our rolling All-Australian team as well, which you can check out on the website. So he's cleared 30 disposals in each of his last 3 games, going 34, 37 and 30. Should be a great game there at the Gabba.
Yeah, going to be interesting how Brisbane bounces back from being smacked by Carlton and Melbourne.
Slaughtered.
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's panic stations for Brisbane by any means, but I think this is a bit of a statement game to say we're ready for finals if they can smash Hawthorn. Obviously, Hawthorn being a top 5 team, they're going pretty well. So if Brisbane can beat them, everyone I think is going to get off their back as far as whether or not they're finals ready. But yeah, Impey's a heck of a player. Very fast man. Just a guy you don't want to be chasing. I'll tell you that. I've had a few instances where I've seen him in front of me and I'm going, just not even going to try. There's no chance of catching him. He's 10 meters on me. There's no way I'm making that up. I'll say, I'm actually a big fan of these guys that, can move like that. So I'll say 30 plus. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it off. And like I said, it's going to be an interesting game for Brisbane more than anything.
Yep, I think so as well. What about the D's and Freo? We've got some good stats here.
Yeah, so we've got, this is obviously a bit closer to home with me, Melbourne versus Freo over at the MCG. Andy Brayshaw has gone to work against the D's in the past. He averages 33.4 disposals in his last 5 clashes, including 39 touches earlier in the year against the D's. What do you reckon? Over 33?
It'd be rude to say no, wouldn't it? I'm going to say no.
You know what my answer is going to be. There's no doubt about that. But
You have to.
yeah. I think it's a legitimate answer. So
I think that's fair. No, I think that's fair enough. Another one of your teammates here, though, in Pat Voss. He's only played 2 games at the MCG in his career, but in those 2 games, he kicked 6 goals versus Collingwood and 5 goals versus Essendon. So 11 from 2 games at the home of footy is pretty decent going. Loves the big stage, does Big Paddy.
only played 2 games at the MCG. That's crazy to me. That's insane.
But he's kicked 11 goals.
Wow. He's kicked 11 goals in 2 games. Not a bad return.
No.
Not a bad return for Big Bossy. We've got Jai MS, obviously, and Josh Tracy up there for the Coleman, but Pat Voss is probably not getting the love he deserves in that sense. He's up and about. He's one of my favorite players to watch. And the Prancing Pony, the energy he brings is just electric. So no, I'll lock him in for that. I'm just stoked to play next to him. It's just a fun time.
He seems like he'd be a lot of fun to play with. Finish us off here. St Kilda and Carlton. Massive game.
So St Kilda versus Carlton, obviously a massive one. So this is a big game of footy in the context of the season. Cannot highlight the season of Jagger Smith. Youngsters averaged 24.8 disposals this year, but 26.3 since Big Frage has taken over, not dropping below 20 disposals in a game. So to top it off, he averages 27.3 in Carlton's wins this season and 22.2 when they lose.
The barometer.
How do you think he's going to go?
Yeah. Well, I think we looked at this with Champion Data on Monday, and their profile stacks up against the best, against you guys. They're the best team not called Fremantle in terms of some of the metrics that they're hitting with their game style under Josh Fraser, and Jagger Smith is one of those midfielders who is capitalising on their new system. So we'll lock him in, won't we? How the Blues effectively turned Matt Owies into Jagger Smith a couple of years ago is some serious trade manoeuvring.
Should be a doco on this. I feel like just how it's completely flipped on its head is insane. And I'm happy for him because Josh Fraser's a really nice guy. And I don't know. It's pretty wild how much that has turned around and the fan base is getting around it and everything else now. People are going nuts. With I wouldn't say expectations, but excitement would probably be the right word for where they're at. And well deserved because they're winning games. So it's gonna be interesting. They're gonna be one of those just Cinderella stories, I feel like, in the finals that if they make it, they might be able to do some damage, that's for sure.
Real Hawthorn vibes from 2024 when the Hawks, I think, was 0-6 bottom of the ladder. Then they ended up reaching finals. They won a final. I think that was the aeroplane game where they lost in Port Adelaide in the semi-final, I think it was. But real Hawthorn vibes of starting really slow, looking like a wooden spooner, and then completely flipping their game plan and playing really exciting footy. So we'll see what happens there.
Brisbane was like that a few years ago too.
Who?
Brisbane was like that a few years ago.
They were the laughing stock of the competition.
They lost like 4 in a row or something like that to start the season. They came around and won the whole thing. So, you never know. You just never know.
We'll see what happens. That was the Hot Stat Checklist powered by StatMate. Download the app for free now. All right, let's finish this off. Don't be surprised if there are still at least 2 spots up for grabs inside the top 10. So people reckon they have it sorted. I think a lot of people think it's that 10th spot up for grabs. Is it Carlton? Is it the Saints? Will the Giants swoop over the top? But upset watch this week, the Bulldogs against North Melbourne. And I think the Pies versus Eagles have a lot of injuries. And the Eagles over there isn't the gimme that it once was. Still tipping Collingwood. I think they should win. But they're on upset alert. They both still need at least one more win to lock themselves into a wild card spot and finals. The Bulldogs' run home is North Melbourne, Carlton and Melbourne. They could win all 3, they could lose all 3. And then the Pies' run home is West Coast, Hawthorn and Brisbane. If they don't beat West Coast this week, I don't think they finish in the top 10 at all. So still a lot to play out, I think.
Very interesting. The Dogs' run home. That's going to be a tough one, North Blues and Ds. Playing them last week, very defensive mindset, very different to other teams that we've played and experiences. But that's very hard for them to kind of go through. I've actually got my don't be surprised if North beats the Bulldogs at Marvel this week. And North, very, very good team compared to last year and the year before, years prior, really. And still running a little bit under the radar. But they're a good chance, I reckon, to beat the Bulldogs. I think there's a few on that team that are running a bit injured. Obviously, they had a few players that were gone with Naughton and Waitman last week. I'm not sure if they'll come back this week, but there's a few that are under question. I would say like a little bit of an injury cloud. So it's going to be an interesting game. But I've actually got North Melbourne beating the Bulldogs at Marvel for a big scalp in their season.
You love picking a scalp. North, they've improved. They're better than people give them credit for. They've been very competitive against a lot of good teams this season without quite getting the job done. But I think they're a good chance against the Dogs this week as well.
At what point do you expect North to make finals? Obviously, Alison Carson's now had the team for like 2 years.
Has to be next year.
Do you think next year is the year
it's
that
a fail
if
they're not top 10? If they're not top 10 next year, it's a fail. I didn't think that this year. I think it's fair enough that this year they just win more games and show improvement, which I think they have. But next year it has to be top 10 or it genuinely is a fail. Next year I think is
and they've got
the expectations.
They've signed a few players for longer term deals too, so they got some people committed. There's no doubt about that.
They're just fending off Tassie saying, hey. I know you got the cash, but these guys are committed. It's a good sign.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sign. It's a good place to be. So
very good
interested.
Sign.
Keep an eye out.
Look forward to that game tomorrow night. That's all we got time for. Footy Tips update. A quick Footy Tips app update. So for all of you guys who are on the ESPN Footy Tips app. On the competitions tab, there's now a live graph which follows your overall ranking, so you can see what your best point of the season was, what your worst point of the season has been. Just a good fun way to see your overall trajectory of your tipping. So do check it out. It is a bit of fun if you haven't yet. Otherwise, enjoy the footy this week. Don't forget your tips. Coxy, we'll speak to you next week, mate. Go well.
Sounds good, legend. See ya.